Hello everyone and welcome into Coach Craig's Sports. This is the MLB DFS Core Pick video for Tuesday, April 22nd. If you're joining me for the very first time, first of all, welcome in. Second of all, this is how today's video will be structured. We will be going over my core picks, which is going to be one pitcher, four hitters. That's going to be based on a combination of past performance versus their respective opponent, as well as some recent history. Then after that, we'll get moved over to my cheat sheet and talk about my top GPP teams to stack for Tuesday's slate. In the morning, I'll be listing my early morning weather report, so definitely be on the lookout for that. They will have any game that does have a double-digit chance of rain or higher listed down there. And then I will be listing as many of these starting lineups as I can get to throughout the afternoon. We do have a doubleheader for baseball tomorrow, so probably not going to get to all the lineups, just kind of fair warning there, but definitely feel free to check over kind of on RotoWire as the night gets closer to lock, and they will have a lot of those updated starting lineups up over there as well. But without further ado, we'll get right into it with the core picks for today. We're going to start off at that pitcher position. I have Bailey Ober here of the Minnesota Twins. Obviously, he's a guy that is off to a slow start once again this season. Seems like he always kind of starts pretty slow and then finds his footing as the season moves along. But he has some pretty good history versus the Chicago White Sox in the past. Last year, he went against them 3 different times. 46, 31, and 21 points were the fantasy points for him. Obviously, we're looking for that 36 to 40 at $8,900. Averaging about 21 so far on the season, but like I said, he's kind of off that slow start once again, and that's just kind of how he happens to go for the most part. But he has 1 win on the season. ERA is up over 6, but we're not going to worry too much about that. But averaging about 21 fantasy points per game at $8,900. If we look at some of these starts, obviously the first one was really bad, but otherwise since then he's been pretty solid. Obviously the second one was kind of unfortunate that he only went 4 innings, but back-to-back quality starts, so definitely do like his upside as of late and versus the Chicago White Sox team just in general. Then we're going to move down to our hitters. We have Tommy Edman at $3,300, averaging just over 11.5 fantasy points per game on the season. He goes against the Chicago Cubs. Shota Imanaga is on the mound, and he is 2 for 5 with 2 home runs versus him in his career. If we look at what Tommy Edman's done as of late, kind of slowed down a little bit. He's only got hits in 2 out of his last 5 games, but both those were multi-games. Both were big double-digit performances. If we look at what he's done so far on the season, 261 batting average, 7 home runs, 15 RBIs, and once again averaging about 11.5 fantasy points per game at $3,300. Then we're going to move down to third base with Austin Riley. He's $3,300 as well, averaging just over 11 fantasy points per game, goes against the St. Louis Cardinals. Andre Payente is the expected starting pitcher for them. He is 3 for 3 with 1 home run versus him in his career. If we look at what Austin Riley's done as of late, he's on a modest 3-game hitting streak, 1 multi-game during that time span, 1 double-digit performance, and 1 home run. So not the greatest, but starting to come alive a little bit as of late, as well as the rest of this Braves lineup. So definitely do like him in this matchup. And if we look at what he's done on the season in totality, 278 batting average, 6 home runs, 15 RBIs, averaging over 11 fantasy points per game at $3,300. Then we're going to move down to the outfield, and we have an interesting name here in Yordan Alvarez, who's had a very, very slow start to the season. So when we talk about recent performance, I'm not even going to mention it with him, but he is $3,300, averaging about 8 fantasy points per game. But in his career versus Chris Bassett, the expected starting pitcher for the Toronto Blue Jays, he is 8 for 19 with 5 home runs. That is the most home runs of anybody on this slate in their hitter versus pitcher matchup. And if we look at what he's done so far on the season, 206 batting average, 2 home runs, 11 RBIs, once again averaging just over 8 fantasy points per game at $3,300. Definitely willing to take the shot on the upside with him once again based on that past performance, although Chris Bassett's pitching really well to start the young season, so a little bit of variability there. Obviously, if you don't want to play Yordan Alvarez, definitely do understand it. Probably not getting to too much else from this Houston lineup, but that history is there in the past and could be there once again for Tuesday's slate. And then last but not least, we're going right back to Michael Harris at $2,700, averaging over 8 fantasy points per game, and he is going against the St. Louis Cardinals and Andre Payente on the mound once again. He's 2 for 5 versus him in his career. He's on a modest 4-game hitting streak as we do speak. 2 multi-games during that time span, 1 home run, 3 double-digit performances, and all 4 games have had at least 9 fantasy points or higher, so it does offer a relatively safe floor. And he's kind of one of those streaky hitters, so when he gets going on this type of streak, definitely want to get on board that. And if we look at what he's done on the season in totality, 220 batting average, 3 home runs, 10 RBIs, averaging over 8 fantasy points per game at $2,700. But with that being said, if you go with the 5 players that I do currently have listed here, you have $13,500 remaining, just under $3,400 remaining per player. So a good amount of money left over, whether you want to pay up for kind of a stud player or if you want to do a little bit more balanced approach. Definitely a lot of ways that we can approach Tuesday's slate just in general. Obviously, once again, you do not need to play Yordan Alvarez in this lineup, but I definitely do like the history and taking some shots on some upside there with him just in general. But with that being said, we'll get moved over to my cheat sheet and talk about my top GPP teams to stack for Tuesday's slate. So we're going to start off with the Atlanta Braves. A lot of these guys have hit Andre Pinte pretty good in the past, although it is a very small sample size, so keep that in mind. Then we move over to the Oakland A's. Not a lot of these guys have faced Patrick Corbin in the past before, so kind of a little bit of hit or miss there just in terms of that. Like the upside of the A's lineup, Patrick Corbin looked a little bit better in his most recent start, so maybe there's a little bit of something there, but definitely do like the upside once again. The one guy that has hit him well in the past and does have that history is actually Luis Urias, who is 4 for 11 with one home run versus him. So if he's in that starting lineup, could be an interesting option there. Then we move over to the Cardinals, who are going against Nathan Wiles in place of Spencer Strider. So it is expected that Nathan Wiles will get the start. It will be his major league debut, I believe, his 26-year-old pitcher that they did acquire earlier this year from the Tampa Bay Rays. So there could be some upside there just in general. Obviously, there could be some significant downside at the same time as well. And then we have the Los Angeles Angels going against Bailey Falter of the Pittsburgh Pirates. Not too much history to be had there at the same time as well, but definitely do like their upside just in general. But with that being said, that's what I do have in terms of my core picks, as well as top GPP stacks for Tuesday, April 22nd. As always, if you have any questions related to MLB DFS, be sure to drop them down in the comment section, and I'll get back to you as quickly as possible. Once again, in the morning, I'll be listing my early morning weather report that will have any game that does have a double-digit chance of rain or higher. As the day moves along, I will be posting as many of these starting lineups as I can get to prior to the start of our baseball game. Unfortunately, it's a doubleheader, so we'll be missing a couple lineups here and there. But definitely feel free to check up over on RotoWire, as they do list all these starting lineups as they do get confirmed over there at the same time as well. But with that being said, if you are brand new to my channel, checking out for the very first time, or have yet to subscribe, please consider doing so, and definitely would appreciate it. It helps to build the community that we're trying to build here at Coach Craig Sports, which is one that's truly for you, the viewers, helping you with your DFS. Right now, we have MLB DFS in terms of the core pick videos, typically Monday through Friday. This week, it's going to be a little wonky because we got a lot of different things going on just in general, between coaching baseball, NFL draft, everything else like that. So I will say there will be no video on Tuesday night heading into Wednesday night slate. I know there will be no video on Thursday headed into Friday slate. So I'll see if I can get one for Wednesday into Thursday. If not, I will just have the UFL DFS video coming out for the week on that day just in general. I know there's a lot of moving pieces this week, so just kind of feel free to understand with that. And then I'll be posting my NFL draft positional rankings, those graphics up on the YouTube community tab, up on Twitter, up on Facebook, so definitely I'll look out for them in the coming days. And then in terms of the actual NFL draft, we'll be over on the Sports Affiliation YouTube channel, so definitely feel free to check them out at the same time as well. We'll be over there for at least night 1 and day 3. I might also pop up over there on night 2, so definitely feel free to check that out. Be sure to give them a subscribe and everything else like that, so that you can follow the live stream at the same time as well and chat along with us as we do talk about the actual NFL draft. And then last but not least, if you're interested in sports betting, if you're interested in prop betting whatsoever, be sure to check out the links and promo codes down in the description below for BetUS, Parlay Play, and Prize Picks. If you're a brand new user on any one of those 3 sites, when you sign up, make your initial deposit, you will get a first match deposit bonus. For Prize Picks and Parlay Play, it's 100% match up to $100. And then for BetUS, it's 125% match up to $2,000. So some pretty great opportunities to be had out there. If you have any other additional questions related to that whatsoever, feel free to reach out to me, whether it's down in the comment section of this video or on Twitter at Coach Craig Sport, and be more than happy to help you with that journey as well. But with that being said, that's all that I truly have for today's video. Definitely do appreciate each and every one of you tuning in. Definitely means a lot to me. I hope that each and every one of you have a great rest of your day and some pretty good luck in MLB DFS for Tuesday, April 22nd.